It's All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. We're continuing our off-the-road interview series, remotely connecting with musicians around the world, sharing their experiences during the pandemic and other crises. You can hear hours of interviews we've done so far, including many exclusive musical performances at hawaiipublicradio.org. Just look for the Off the Road banner on the front page. When it comes to the origins of hard rock and what would be called heavy metal, 3 British bands that emerged in the late 1960s are credited with defining the genres. All 3, often referred to as a sort of unholy trinity, if you like, are now enshrined in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and those bands would be Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and Deep Purple. And it was Deep Purple songs like Smoke on the Water and many others which would become classic rock anthems that earned them critical recognition and an enduring fan base around the world. Their latest album is called Whoosh and was released during the pandemic. Guitar icon Steve Morse has been in Deep Purple since the early 1990s, longer than original guitarist Ritchie Blackmore and longer than any guitarist the band has had. An acclaimed artist on his own, Steve Morse's influential fusion band, the Dixie Dregs, led to a career as a solo artist and frequent collaborator, touring with his personal heroes like John McLaughlin, recording with classic rockers like Kansas, and continuing with side projects away from Deep Purple to this day. We caught up with Steve at his home studio as he took a break from one of those recording sessions. Aloha and mahalo, Steve. I'm grateful for your time.
Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. And first, where are you right now, Steve? And is this where you've been since the pandemic started?
Yeah, I live in Central Florida. I'm at home. We have a hay farm, and I do everything.
What kind of farm is it?
Hay farm. I cut hay and bale it and sell it, store it, deliver it. It's not, I don't make any money from it.
So when you're not touring with the band, you're doing this?
Oh, yeah. And when I am touring, when I come back, it's like, there's so many things have grown, overgrown, that I have to fix. Stuff grows fast here in Florida, and there's a short window to where it's dry enough to cut it.
And how big is the farm?
It's 56 acres.
That's great. Well, I didn't know any of that about you, and that really does help understand, because I've been reading a couple recent interviews that you've done since the pandemic. Thinking about the album, share a little bit of the backstory of the writing of the material and your role in that.
Usually it takes a year or so. We do a couple weeks of writing in a small city in Germany where nobody in the band lives. And we could sit and jam and try things. It's like a group isolation thing. Try to be in a place where there's no distractions. And I bring in ideas, and I plan for a very high rejection rate. I just say the band will let me know if they think something fits Deep Purple. And when somebody else brings in an idea, when we start on it, then my job is to think of another section that would go with that. Piecing it together is the hard part of writing.
I just wanted to back up a second. You say you guys go to, is it the same city in Germany every time? Have you done this for all your records with them?
It's been the last 3 times that we've gone there, but we've done, like one time we were in Spain and one time we were in Portugal. Before then we were rehearsing in London, but then it becomes a lot more distractions, and I get to meet lots of rock stars, and oh, there's Jimmy Page, or there's Robert Plant. But we get less done. And by going to this place in Germany, it keeps the focus on it. But the guys are very British. We start the day with tea, then there's a tea break, then there's another tea break, then there's a lunch break with tea. Then there's a later tea break, and then we wrap it up.
And then the Nashville part, I guess that's where you worked with producer Bob Ezrin?
Yes.
This was in 2019?
Yeah.
He's done some huge records, both with Purple, Kiss, Alice Cooper. He did Pink Floyd's The Wall. He even did one of the Kansas records you played on. Does he ever share stories about some of those other huge acts or albums he's done?
Yeah, he'll tell me stories about doing The Wall. I remember I was saying, no, give me another shot on this solo. I don't like the last one. And he'd say, well, David Gilmour did the solo for Fly in one take through this little teeny amp on a boat on a river in England.
Trying to compare you to David Gilmour to make you feel guilty that you should just do it in one take.
Always.
That's some funny stuff. Yeah, I was reading the way he talks to you and that he calls you by your last name, Morse. I remember the one thing you said in one of your interviews, Morse, save that for your solo album. I need something more melodic for this.
Yeah. And I say, well, I really like you, Bob. That must be the part of you that you didn't bring to the studio today, though. We do a lot of the ribbing.
One of the tunes that really stuck out, The Power of the Moon, on the new Whoosh album from Deep Purple. So moody and spooky. And what a tasty riff from you, by the way.
Oh, you made that this... that's the real eerie sort of haunted keyboard and guitar line that we keep going.
Same with Man Alive. That one has the spooky, slower tempo.
We have those clusters of the notes.
And I love that you're there with your guitar.
With the guitar.
I love it. And some of the lyrics on that's just so powerful when he's talking in that song about the earth being cleansed, some great spoken word.
Fits in with the title of the album, whoosh, before you know it, it's over. You get this one little tiny speck of time in the, infinite universe to make your market do something good, so take advantage of it.
That's really the theme, huh?
I think so. We don't have any overtly political leanings, and thank God the band doesn't want to be a political entity, because I think when people look to entertainment, they don't want to be sort of told what to think or lectured or whatever. I think people just want music to be an escape. I love for it to stay that way.
That's a great point. But at the same time, there is something to be said for role models.
Definitely. I think everybody, regardless of what their platform is, needs to lead by example. And exactly, that's one of my big pet peeves, is that everybody with a microphone, access to any kind of print, has a responsibility to realize that they're shaping our culture.
Mm.
And to think not once, not twice, but 3 times about what you say or do, because, like I said, we're literally shaping our future in a small way. Even when we contact somebody, if you see a stranger drop something, you pick it up to them and say, "Here you are, sir," or "Here you are, ma'am." That doesn't take any effort at all. But it might change the way that they look at strangers in the future. It's like, wow, that was awesome. The person didn't even know me, and they gave me the words of respect and help me. Everything we do matters. I'm a big believer in that.
And the album is done. 2020 begins. Share with us the plans that you had in place to promote it, and also, if you can recall it, how exactly everything came unraveled.
Well, yeah, 2020 was all booked. There was an album coming out, and our biggest tour ever. So we had one festival to do, a Monsters of Rock kind of thing to do in Mexico. We went and played it, but that pandemic was starting to be a thing. I think it was February.
Okay.
I remember my wife saying, by the way, if you see any antibacterial stuff there, get some. I said, what? You can't get it from the store? I said, no, every place is out. And so I went to a grocery store in Mexico and got some baby wipes or something. That's all they had left. They were sold out.
Right.
And they didn't even have liquid soap. There was regular liquid soap, but they didn't have the antibacterial stuff. So I had some liquid soap, 2 rolls of toilet paper, and some baby wipes that I came out. That was the best I could do. But at the gig, there was people from other bands coughing and sneezing in the cafeteria where everybody's eating backstage. And I thought, wow, a lot of people are sick. And with this germ going around, it doesn't seem like a good idea to eat here. So I didn't eat that day and came back, flew home, and then I had to go into 14 days of isolation because we have a handicapped daughter that's at greater risk. She can't breathe normally. And 14 days living in my camper.
Wow. On your property, 14 days, because you have a daughter with a disability that requires that she would be vulnerable, you're saying. Heaven forbid that you were carrying.
Yeah, can you imagine being the one that made your daughter ill?
How old is your daughter?
She's 28, but she's, she's different. And she would...
I get you, brother. I get you totally, loud and clear.
Yeah.
It's Deep Purple guitarist Steve Morse talking story with us about his journey through the pandemic. He's the latest guest in our Off the Road interview series, and will conclude tomorrow. Hear this and everything we've done so far at hawaiipublicradio.org. Just look for the Off the Road banner on the front page. I'm Dave Lawrence.